and welcome to Beyond the Bio. Stay tuned this week to learn all about research reports. What are they? What is the value of them? And why should you be all over this idea? Joining me to talk about this hot topic, I have Max Earnshaw in the studio. Max is our client account manager here at Moja, and this is a topic that he has really been delving into lately. So welcome to Beyond the Bio, Max.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Good to have you here. So research report is something that we've not spoken about on Beyond the Bio before. So this is a new topic. So for anyone listening and thinking, what's a research report? It reminds me of maybe my uni days. How would you describe a research report in the context of personal branding?
Yeah, so I think it's a really useful and detailed tool that you can use when you're trying to promote or develop a particular narrative or image of yourself or your business. It can take two different forms, and that can be a qualitative report or a quantitative report. And that those are two distinct ways of structuring a report, but the aims are quite similar. So with a quantitative report, you're looking at data, you're looking at numbers, you're looking at figures. Qualitative report, the root of the word is quality. It's what do people think, what do people understand by how they're working. So to give you an example, you might be looking at the statistics of who is on a board, or you might be looking at the statistics of who works for an organisation, who you're selling to, who your customer base is. And then a qualitative report could be useful for somebody who is looking to understand how their customers or consumers feel about something and understand that. And it's maybe more of an interview. So you gather all of this data, whether it's words, whether it's numbers, and you can put it together into a big report, which then can be disseminated. You can speak about it, you can present it, you can publish it, and it can really tell you a lot and help you reach other people with something that's really concrete that says, here's what I am, here's what I found out, and here's how it links to who I am, what my business is, what we're trying to do.
Really, really interesting. And I suppose I think that the value of doing a research report is that credibility piece, that authority, because if you've got data to back something up, it's showing that as an authority in your industry, you have gone to speak to those people and find out what they think and get that data behind you so that you can talk more confidently about your area of expertise.
Yeah, and you can absolutely go in different areas as well. So the beauty of a really good research report or research proposal is that it could be replicable across different industries or different fields. So if you're somebody that's working within the higher education sector and you wanted to branch that out and look at charities or look at the private sector, quite a lot of that it'll be possible to use quite a lot of the similar techniques, investigating lots of different fields and lots of different industries. And I think that that's the beauty of setting up a really, really good one, is that you can then use that multiple times and get completely different results that are still really, really interesting to people within those different fields and perhaps your business as well.
I'm sold. I think it's a great idea. I need to think about what our research report is going to be on. Let's delve into some of the practicalities of doing the report. So obviously you are working on research reports for our clients here and doing some of the heavy lifting for them so that they can talk about the results and apply it to their own industries. So when you are crafting a research report, how do you strike a balance between data and storytelling to make the report engaging but also stay credible?
There's two aspects of putting a report together. Some of it will come from your survey or your interviews, which is kind of the gathering of your primary data. And then where you're able to construct a narrative and a story comes in the secondary data and the gathering of the secondary literature. So that'll give you the opportunity to identify kind of gap within the pre-existing literature, or have people done similar surveys like this in the past? What have they found out? Maybe what have they not found out that you could try and fill a hole and kind of carve out a little niche almost? When you're then disseminating and writing a report, what you want to do is obviously have that hard evidence, but that hard evidence needs to be proving something or demonstrating something. If you're looking to gain a speaking opportunity, or if you're looking to have an opportunity to publish it or put it out online, on LinkedIn, on your website or anything like that, you want to be able to say, this is what I found out, but this is where it fits into the broader picture, and this is why it's really useful data and useful information that moves us forward and moves us on and helps us to innovate within our industry or innovate within perhaps even society. One of the research reports I've been looking at is specifically about increasing diversity within charities and healthcare organisations, and that's something that's really, really important whether you're in that field or whether you're in a different field, because we all need to take responsibility on and understand that there's a need for diversity, because that gets you better results. It gives better opportunities to employees. There's so many different benefits to it. So if you're able to fit your research and data into that kind of context, then I think it can be a really useful tool for anybody.
That's a really great example. What are some of the common challenges that you face when creating these reports, and how are you overcoming those?
I think you've got to think quite carefully about the sorts of questions that you're asking. You don't want to lead people. You don't want to go into a report with a specific answer in mind that you want to lead people towards, because that really weakens the quality of your research if you're trying to influence or manipulate people through the way that you pose the questions. There's also practical considerations that you need to have a good think about. You need to remember, if you're asking complicated questions, you need to understand your GDPR. You need to understand that it's important to get consent for taking people's perhaps quite intimate thoughts or opinions on their workplace or their co-workers or anything like that. Obviously, we're not asking them to be rude about anybody or critical of anybody necessarily, but if there's something that comes up in your research that's significant, that they've maybe had a bad experience at work, you want to make it really clear to them, this is how we're going to use your answers, this is how we're going to use your information, and this is how we're going to publish it.
How can clients measure the impact of a research report on their personal or professional brand?
I think it depends what their goals are starting out. So I think if a client wants to be able to speak with authority on a topic, they might be looking for speaking opportunities. Being able to say, I want to speak about this topic and I've got a wealth of research behind me and I've spoken to lots of people within my industry. I'm an expert within this field and I'm not afraid to say it. You know, I've done loads of research. I've spoken to people within my field. I'm an expert and I would like to speak at your event. There will be a measurable increase in the number of speaking opportunities you maybe get.
That's a really big one, actually, because we've spoken a lot on this show about speaking. It seems to be one definitely in the top 3 things that people speak to me about what they want more of. They want more, speaking opportunities. Everyone wants to be a speaker. So because there's so much noise in that space at the moment, actually having something that stands out that makes you different from other potential speakers, I think is really powerful. And in this particular example around a research report, you're going to be the only, if you do a research report in your field of expertise, you are going to be the only person with that specific research report, and as you say, able to talk confidently and with authority about those stats, etc. So I think that's a great example. That's probably one of the best ones, I would imagine, in terms of some kind of return on spending either the money if you outsource this activity to someone like us, or the time doing it in-house. That would be a really, really great way. And I suppose other things might be whether you get clients off the back of it. And, again, this is where you have to think carefully about how you leverage releasing the report. So, we spoke about putting it on a website, releasing it on LinkedIn. I think people could put it out through their newsletter. But actually, depending on what it's about, you could be quite creative and do some kind of launch event around the report and really try and create a bit of a buzz about it that way.
You're completely right when you say that there's so many different ways that you can then go about and present it and draw attention to it. As you say, launch events, opportunities. You can get people from within your industry who've responded, that are interested in seeing how it all turned out. Because I think when you speak to somebody within your field and say, can you fill in this survey? Can you fill in this questionnaire? Can you come and do an interview with me? They might take 5 minutes if it's a survey, maybe up to half an hour or an hour if you're doing a qualitative report. They don't really get the broader context to that, but they might leave with lots of interest in what comes out of it. And if you say, right, well, in a month's time, 2 months' time, 3 months' time, we're having this big launch event where we're going to show you what we've written up, we're going to show you the stats, the data, or the meaty detail, they might be really interested in coming along to see that. And that gets you in front of lots of other people within your industry. on a stage, on a platform, saying this is what we've put together, and it's come from every single one of you, and that can only be a good thing for your reputation.
I totally agree. I can see that having so much impact, and it's going to build relationships with those people that you want to do business with or you're already doing business with, and introduce you to more people, but in the best possible context of you as that expert in that area. So for me, I think research reports feel really meaty. They feel like they have a huge amount of value to them. And I think this idea is actually probably something I'm going to take into 2025 around something really powerful that not everybody's doing, actually, and it's a real opportunity. Another thing actually that has occurred to me around the research report is that you've kind of got the basis for a book within a research report, because you've got some really great data. You'll be able to pull out the things that are particularly interesting about that, and there will be themes and topics that could quite neatly make up book chapters. So maybe that's a starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the process in lots of ways might be quite similar. It's the gathering of the primary research. It's finding a little niche within to place that within the context and the secondary research, and producing quite a good narrative out of it. That can be a really good foundational step for a book.
I agree. So if someone's listening and they are sold on the idea, we've convinced them, they think, oh yeah, that's good, I fancy getting a bit of getting into research reports, but they don't really know what their idea is. Like, how does someone come up with an idea?
So I think I've been quite lucky in this sense that we've often had clients come with an idea or a field where they want to gain that status. But if you're kind of sat at home thinking, I'd love to have one of these, but I don't know where it fits in, just think about what is important to you. What kind of grates on you or grinds on you when you're working within your field? Is it the fact that there's not enough diversity? Is it the fact that you maybe struggle to have a good work-life balance? Is it something along the lines of the sorts of people that come through your door in terms of who the clients are and what sort of clients you're attracting, maybe what sort of clients you aren't attracting, what sort of employees you're attracting or you aren't attracting? Try and look for little patterns and gaps within the field that you're working in, where the kind of questions are, and then have a little bit of a read around it and just see what other people have produced, see what you would feel comfortable producing. Do you want to sit down and interview people? Some people think that that's the best way to get a story. Some people are really numbers driven and numbers focused and will love the idea of gathering a big, charts and graphs and stats and will really, that'll be the way that they want to present things. So think about what will work for you. Think about where the gaps are and what maybe the weaknesses are within the context of your field, and get in touch and we could chat about it.
I mean, some of the thoughts that I've had around that would be, listening to your client, because it goes back to what you said earlier around setting some objectives and goals around what is the point of doing this, because there will be a time as a minimum time cost, possibly more if you outsource this activity. So what do you want to get from it and how are you going to make the best use of it? So I think that's probably the starting point. And actually, once you've identified that might even throw up the topic. But I think if you're really not sure where to start, I'd be asking your customers, what do they want to know more of? What's the question that you get asked the most by customers? There's also a really cool tool that I've used in so many different contexts called Answer the Public. So you can go on Answer the Public and you can maybe just put your industry in, and it will throw up the most common questions that are asked on Google for that particular topic. And sometimes that is really interesting around what are the things that people are asking the most on Google. So we'll pop a link to Answer the Public into the show notes, and people can maybe have a play around with that. I think you can get a free package where you get to put maybe 3 to 5 questions in a day or something, so you can have a little bit of fun with that. But I think there are gaps in everyone's industry, and I think, as you said, it's identifying what those are and where you can add the value, and it's got to be something that you're interested in as well. Like, already my mind is racing, thinking we totally need to do a research report in 2025. So we'll have to have a think about, what would we cover that would add value and wouldn't just be more noise, something that would stand out and fit into our broader goals. So, yeah, I think I'm sold on the idea of research reports for sure. So if anyone's listening and they're wanting to explore research reports, they should totally get in touch with you, Max, and
Absolutely.
pick your brain about it. So we will we'll maybe pop your email in the show notes as well, and also a link to your LinkedIn so that anyone listening that's not already connected with you can connect with you there. Thanks for joining me today.
Been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.